Police Department headquarters off of I-35 and 8th Street. Demonstrators have been here for the last couple of hours protesting in a variety of ways. It has been both peaceful and at times violent. We have seen a lot of action. As you can see right behind me, there is a car fire going on underneath the overpass. This is the second one that has erupted within the past hour. Let me step out of the way so we can see it just a little bit closer. I do believe it is a car fire. It's unconfirmed at this point, but as you can see, there are still flames, smoke pouring out up to the I-35 interstate. Demonstrators were mainly congested right by the Austin Police Department headquarters, but have slowly migrated south underneath that overpass. It began shortly before 10 o'clock, before our 10 o'clock newscast when that first fire came out. I was standing there just probably about 30-40 yards away from the fire. People were throwing firecrackers and fireworks inside of it, and we saw multiple explosions. If we pan up above the fire, you can see a line of law enforcement. This is both Austin police officers, Texas DPS troopers, and other law enforcement members that have sort of positioned themselves on top of that southbound I-35 lane. They are protected by an APD cruiser that's blocking the traffic from hitting them, but they have been the ones that have been sort of the watchdogs over the group of demonstrators that have been congregating down on that I-35 frontage road. Several times during the course of the afternoon, things got a little bit dicey, got a little bit rowdy, and some of these police officers were forced to take action. You know, they were taking non-lethal measures by spraying tear gas into the crowd and sometimes using mace. Protesters were bringing in water bottles and first aid kits and even milk at times, which they were pouring over their eyes for the people that were getting maced. After some of these non-lethal measures were used, some of these tactics were used by the law enforcement, things would slow down, it would break apart for a little bit, but it was inevitable. Usually we would see them slowly creep up towards those law enforcement officers and troopers, and then it would repeat and recycle the same sort of routine. It has been quiet, other than those fires I was telling you about. As you can see, I mean, what once was just a couple hundred protesters down outside APD headquarters, pretty much empty at this point. Can't quite see the platform where APD officers and troopers were lined up in their tactical gear anymore. But as you can see, it's not nearly the sight that it was earlier this afternoon. Really, a lot of those demonstrators, from what I can tell from my safe spot up here, have moved south, closer towards 7th and 6th Street. The fire still going on right now. AFD was on scene for the first fire within about 10 minutes. So we need to do a bit more investigating to see what's going on there. But as you can see, still a very active situation. Still a lot of people just congregating and you know, protesting in their own ways. Other things that I saw today. Protesters lighting off fireworks, which I shared with you, went up in the air, caused quite a stir. People were unsure whether or not those were gunshots. Oh, and it looks like AFD is slowly approaching the fire right now, so hopefully they'll get that put out shortly. But back to what I was saying, some of the other things I saw, fireworks. We saw demonstrators pick up police barricades, place them on the I-35 frontage road to literally block traffic. There you go, more fireworks firing off in the distance there. So they were using those police barricades to block the traffic. Earlier today, as you folks know, if you've been keeping up with our KXAN coverage, I-35 was closed down for several hours as protesters gathered and literally stood their ground up on I-35. Traffic is flowing now, but the protests and the demonstrations are still going on. It looks like that fire has picked up a little bit of steam, but it does look like there is water hosing it down, so hopefully that's put out shortly. KXAN's been on the scene all day long. We're going to continue to cover these I-35 protests and just monitor to make sure that things stay as cool, calm, and collected as possible. APD and DPS, certainly, they're not going anywhere until things calm down, so KXAN will be out here too. Make sure you're following, liking us, and following us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. We've got all the latest coverage of what's happening throughout the night on our social media accounts. Then, of course, Jacqueline Powell is going to be leading us on KXAN today in the morning. We'll have whatever sort of coverage is necessary up to the minute in those certain areas on social media and, of course, on all of our personal accounts. We're going to sign off this Facebook Live. Make sure you're following us, and we'll see you soon.